Hello, hello, Brother Sewing Crafting family. I'm Angela Wolf, brand ambassador, and we have such a fun show for you today. Emily Thompson's going to be joining, and we're going to be embroidering on onesies. This is going to be fun. See you in a sec. All right, welcome. If you've never been with us before, we are live streaming on Brother Sewing and Crafting, actually Sewing Facebook, Brother Sewing Facebook and YouTube page. Get that right. And I just want to send a little tip. If you're looking for the crafting side, you'll now see May's shows over there. So I don't want to confuse you, but we made a few changes to schedules and things like that. And I want to make sure you watch all the shows that you'd like to. So today we were live streaming on the Brother Sewing YouTube and Facebook pages, and I can see all your comments and all of you rolling in. So be sure to say hi, say where you're from. I am frozen in here in Northern Michigan, and I have Emily joining us. I think she's snowed in. So welcome to all of our snowy friends, and I'm really jealous of all my friends in the sun. Hey, Emily.
Hi, everybody. Yes, not snowed in, but there's snow on the ground, and it's really cold outside. So I am not going out unless I absolutely have to. So we'll pretend that I'm snowed in.
Well, we actually literally are iced in, where this morning there was an alert, and I guess I wasn't paying attention to the weather, and it says till midnight and there's like this much ice. You can't go anywhere. So hunker down, get some work done, and enjoy the Brother Sewing shows is my favorite theme.
That's right. Yes, I had heard that it's really snowy or icy in the Midwest because we have family there. So yeah, not my favorite, but we'll survive.
But we'll survive. So I'm so excited for today's show, and I see everybody rolling in. So this month our theme is embroidery, and everyone can do anything they want to with it. And I love what you did on those adorable onesies.
Yes. So I think it was last year or maybe even 2 years ago, a friend had a baby, and they had two older siblings. And one of my go-to baby gifts is to create, like, big sister, little brother, or whatever combination of kids they're having, to create sort of the t-shirts and onesies to go with it, because everyone takes those pictures, and they're just a fun little thing to have. So it makes a great baby gift, especially if someone's having their second or third and you're not sure what to get them. So I had made the two older sibling shirts and then embroidered on the baby onesie. And actually, I think for that one, I had tried to embroider directly on the baby onesie, but something had messed up. Or I can't remember what happened exactly, but what I ended up doing was then redoing, or maybe it wasn't centered. I'm trying to think. It's been a while. But what I did was I cut out the circle on the one onesie, the actual embroidery, and then had just sewed it onto a new onesie and fixed whatever the issue was. I think maybe it was the placement. And then it looked great. So I thought, well, why am I bothering to like scrunch up inside this onesie that's so tiny, especially if you're doing, a newborn size? It's hard to get in here and embroider. Obviously, if my placement was wrong, I didn't do a good job of it. And so today I'm going to just be embroidering on a separate piece of fabric, and then showing how easy it is to just cut that out and sew it right onto the center of the onesie, and just sort of simplify your life when it comes to working with maybe a more difficult little piece. So I just use a bunch of baby ones on hand, and then so I can make projects with those.
I love this idea because, number one, National Embroidery Month. There's so many people, including myself, when I started embroidering, I was petrified to embroider on something, on a piece of fabric. If it's not, doesn't work out, you toss it, right? But on a garment or on a bag or on my jeans, I was like, oh, if I screw this up, I'm going to be ripping stitches for a long time. You came up with the perfect solution. I'm very excited about this.
Yes. So the inspiration for this piece is that my brother is having his second. Well, his wife is having their second. And so last week, I created these fun little shirts with vinyl and shared. So this is the little brother, and then the big sister one. And
so cute.
Yeah, so this design is free, available on my site if you are looking to create something like this in vinyl. And I have combinations of big brother, big sister, little brother, little sister. So you can make all the combinations you want. But I also thought because the baby doesn't fit in the newborn size very long, I could get away with making like 2 baby items and 1 big sister item. And then, you know, they could get more wear out of it. So today we're going to make the embroidered onesie. And I'm going to design the whole thing just on my machine and just show you how you can get a little creative with combining some of the basic built-in designs on your machine to create a fun little look. And the ones that I made a couple years ago for the Brother blog, which are up there, if you go on the Brother Sews and look up baby onesie
I have it
embroidery
right below here. You go to
yes.
Brother Sews. I also put Emily's site because she just said there's something on her site.
Yes.
And so you can find the websites right below too.
Yes. So if you go look up this project on the Brother Sews blog, you will see it says like I think big sister, big brother, and then little brother or sister. I can't remember what the baby was. But all those designs were done on my machine. So I didn't like have to purchase anything or download anything. But I was able to just create the cute little design right on there. So that's what we're going to do first. Well, actually, no, first we're going to hoop our fabric just because I'm here at this table. And then we'll head over to the machine, do the little design, and then hopefully do the embroidery. So let me just wrap this up so you guys can see here my table. What
I can see you. Great. I'm going to shrink myself out and I will watch in the comments. Okay. If you have questions or comments for Emily, be sure to share them and we will take a break to answer those too. So
perfect.
Take it away.
Okay. So here's the onesie. We're going to set that to the side. And here's the hoop. I'm just using the 5x7 because this is a fairly tiny little project. So we don't need the big hoop. And here is the fabric that I'm going to be creating the design on. So I thought it would be cute on the white onesie to use this sort of denim blue. It's still a knit fabric, but it's just kind of a fun blue color. And we're making a little brother. So, and then I'm going to actually use white thread. So we'll have the white onesie, the white thread on this blue, and then this will be stitched back onto the onesie to create the emblem right on the front. So I have fused some fusible interfacing to the back of this knit fabric to hopefully avoid any wrinkles or puckers. And then with knit fabric, I usually will put a second layer of stabilizer just to provide that extra stability. So I just have a sort of lightweight stabilizer there, and we're just gonna hoop this. So the good thing about, like Angela said, doing this not on the project is I'm not super worried about my placement here. I'm not trying to line anything up. I really just need to get this fabric in the hoop, and then from there we can adjust all the placement and all that other things when it's in the machine. So this keeps it really simple for me, is because all I got to do is put that fabric in there.
And you're hooping through both layers of stabilizer and your fabric, correct?
That's right. So yeah, I have the lightweight, the fusible, and my knit fabric, which with the knit, I like to use a layer of fusible or sticky just because it's going to have a little more move as the needle is moving over it. So yeah, I just fused it on. The edges are curling up, you can see, but that is in there. So there we go. Super simple to put that in there. And then let me switch over.
I'm laughing. Vicky's very excited about this project because she just embroidered upside down on a onesie. You know, the good news, Vicky, is most babies can't read. So
that's right.
We'll just leave it at that.
Leave it at that. Or now, because these are circle designs, they're super easy to cut out. And they're super easy to cut out and then reuse on a second one. And I know it's not always possible with every other design to save it. You know, if it's pretty intricate, you're not really going to be able to necessarily cut that out. But we're going to create a simple circle design like I did on the project for the Brother Sews. And I'm using just the built-in designs here. So I'll go back to my home screen so you can see this from the start.
But and Emily, you're on the Brother VM 5200. I just want to let everybody know that the 5200, but what she's showing here, you could also do on a few other machines. And even if you don't have all the bells and whistles, the technique will still be the same. So keep that in mind.
Yes. And I know not all machines can you combine files right on the screen, but you can combine them step by step. Like you could embroider the circle first, and then you could add the text inside of it. This machine is awesome because you can see the whole design before you even start embroidering. But do keep in mind, you can add these layers and embroider each one as you go, and still end up with a very similar product, even on a simpler embroidery machine. So we're going to start with the outlines here, and I'm just going to choose a simple circle. And I did do some measurements to find out that I want this to be about 100. It's in millimeters on here. So I'm looking for it to be about 100 millimeters wide. So I'm going to enlarge that right now. So we just make that circle a little bit bigger. Okay, so there we go. And so that is going to be the outline of our design. And then I'm going to go to this nice add button, which is, on this machine is fabulous that we can combine these built-in designs. And I'm going to add my text. So I'm just going to go for the basic block letters, and we're going to put in the words lil, like little, bro, and just make that right there. So we've got that, and then we can put it down and add the rest of the text, just like that. Okay, so now we're going to need to move things around a little bit. Okay, so we'll hit set, and now the word bro is highlighted on my screen, and I do want to move it up a little bit. So this again is where you are designing what you want. So just because I'm creating something in a way that I want does not mean you have to copy this, but this is just how I wanted to create the design. So I am making it where the corner of the B and the corner of the O intersect with the circle. So we will have a little bit of overlap there. And then I'm going to highlight the top word, which is the little or the lil, and we're going to more center that in the circle. Now we won't get the edges of these letters to touch the circle just because of the design of the letters. I can't get this L corner up there, but I just want it I want it to look like it's centered in the top of the circle, give a little space between those bottom letters, and then we'll be able to embroider that. And again, I'm just going to be cutting around the whole outside, taking that whole sort of patch and putting it on the onesie. So this is the design that I'm creating. But again, you can create any words, and any design. You could put graphics or decals. This is just a brief inspiration and a fun little brother onesie.
So easy and fast, Emily. You just did that in like click. And by the way, those watching, you can rewind this when we're finished. But I mean, that's simple. A circle. And if you see how cute these are when they're finished, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I have to do this. And by the way, Emily, in the comments, we have new grandmas coming up.
Okay.
We have everyone saying who's having babies.
Yes. So many babies. And this just, again, makes such a great project. So if you have an embroidery machine, these are super fun to make. And really, I think I did the actual embroidery on the big brother, big sister t-shirts, but you could use this same sort of patch idea on all of them and just create them on your scraps of fabric and then cut them out and sew them on your different, fabrics. So you do want to make sure, you are going to want to think about sizing before you create this. So for example, let me scoot this back here just a little bit. I measured sort of the center of this onesie to make sure that my 100 millimeters, which is 10 centimeters, is going to be a good size. You can see on this, it maybe sounds tiny, but on a onesie, it's actually going to be a pretty decent size circle. But if you're making this on a 2T or a 4T or larger t-shirt for a bigger brother or sister, you do want to make sure that you think about the sizing and all your circles would not be the same size. Okay, so you probably want to adjust based on the size of the shirt that you're creating. So let me just raise this up just slightly because I lowered it to show the embroidery.
That's a good tip. And also, when you're saying that, especially Vicky who sewed it on or embroidered on upside down,
Yes.
depending on the size of the circle, you can cut that one out, add a bigger one. But it's amazing that I definitely would measure because I'm watching you on that, and you forget how tiny, tiny, tiny those onesies are.
So tiny. So tiny. Yes. Okay, so now we're going to just put the fabric or the hoop that we had the fabric in into the machine. Okay, and then from here, you can check that this placement, because the needle will start in the center of the design, is in a right spot. Okay, so I've got fabric on all sides. So I know that, again, I'm not worried that this is centered. I just want to make sure that it ends up all on the fabric and not going anywhere else. But this will be perfect. So over on my screen, sorry, I'm trying to go back and forth here. You can just see that we've got this same design. I can move it a little bit if it's not centered or in a good spot on the fabric using these arrows here. Super easy. It tells me exactly how long each part is going to take. I'm doing it all in one color, so we'll just keep hitting start when it stops. We're not going to change the color. But now we're ready to go. So in order to start, I need this light to turn green. So we're going to lower the presser foot, and then we can begin embroidering. So we'll leave this on here and see how it looks.
That easy. While you're embroidering, I see Joanna said, is that software? Or no, I think Joanna wanted to know the machine. I just put it up on screen for you. But yes. Somebody just asked, was that, oh, Renee, is that a software you have to add to the machine? No, Renee, this machine actually comes with, it's all built into the machine. That's how easy it is to navigate.
Yeah. And I even have a much simpler, you know, a 4x4 hoop machine as well, brother. And even though it is, you know, much simpler in design of the whole machine, it still has the circle. It still has several basic fonts. It doesn't have as many fonts, but it still has them. So even if you're having more, say, a starter embroidery machine, you could still create some basic designs. And that's what I love about them is you don't, as you're starting to get into embroidery, you don't have to have the whole thing figured out, like the downloading and the buying of designs or, you know, getting them from iBroidery. You can start by just playing with the designs in your machine.
Absolutely. I think that is so, it's one of the best parts, I think, of Brother machines. And so I'm so glad you're showing this machine because so often we show the Luminaire, which is obviously the creme de la creme, but Brother has a ton of great machines that are at a different price point. You can still visit your Brother dealer, which I put a link down below if you want to find yours. And now is a good time, by the way, to visit them and see what floor models they have.
Yes. And this one is great too because it's a combination machine. And so for anybody that's short on space, like I am, in my sewing studio, I don't have to have a separate sewing machine and embroidery to have an amazing embroidery machine. This one, I also love just sewing on it. It's my favorite one to just use as a sewing machine, but it also goes up to the 9x12 hoop. So I have a huge embroidery surface on one single machine.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I see baby in the family's due next month. We've got babies all over the place. Oh, and yes, by the way, speaking of babies, I cannot wait to see if anybody's having a baby on today, 2022. This will be, that's funny. I was like,
it's a good birthday. Yes, it's a good birthday.
Oh, Lorraine loves her dream machine.
Yeah,
I do too, by the way.
Yep. So we got lots of options. And so like I was saying, if you don't have a machine that you could layer the text and this circle all on your screen, you know, I like seeing it laid out. But if you can't do that, what I would do is embroider this circle first. And then you just use measurements, you know, how big is the circle? And then you would know how big to enlarge your text or shrink your text and center it. And then you could just still pop text anything you want to say right in the middle of that circle, even though you can't design it on the screen. You could still just add those layers of embroidery right on your design.
Melissa, you'll have to go back and watch the beginning. Why not putting it directly on the onesie? For a few random reasons, but you for sure can. In fact, Marty earlier wrote that she opens the side seam on her onesie and she embroiders no problem. But for if you're just getting started, or if you want a foolproof way of knowing that you don't put it upside down, like somebody just mentioned, or placement, this is just another option for you. So whatever works for you. Now, if you have a 10 needle, somebody said, I have a 10 needle, well then slap this right on there. But if you're nervous about placement and you're a newbie, this is a great way to do this.
Well, and I find so opening up the side seam is a brilliant idea, because then you can really see it flat. But I have a trouble when I am sort of maneuvering my fabric in a less than easy way, like with a onesie. If I was trying to really get up inside of here and even put this on, a sticky hoop. All right. Okay. I'm going to hold that thought. So now it's finished embroidering the circle, and we're going to lower the presser foot again, and it will start with the text. Okay. So I have trouble just making sure that it's perfectly centered and perfectly level. You don't want this circle. You don't want these words like slightly to the left or slightly to the right. So, even for me that has embroidered quite a bit on something tiny like a onesie, I just feel safer doing it like this than really trying to be precise on putting on the onesie. And I'm actually excited about the idea that I'm going to have this sort of blue patch of fabric in the center of a white onesie. I think it's going to be a cute design. But
that's going to be adorable. Adorable.
Whatever works for you is, go for it. So we all have our levels of comfort and things we'd rather take time to mess with and make sure it's exact. And for me, this is not one of those things. So I'm going to do it like this.
Awesome. Happy birthday to your granddaughter, Beth. You missed this one. I don't know if you saw this when I brought this up on the screen. They said there was a ton of babies born at 2:22 a.m. Oh, I guess we should watch for 2:22 p.m. too, because that's a lot of twosome.
Yes. It's a lot of twos, and an exciting day. My kids did not, but my nieces had like twin day at school today, since it was 2/2 Tuesday.
How fun.
So my niece was dressed up like one of her friends for the day. So kind of a fun day to make some fun things. So I did see a question about attaching the embroidery patch to the onesie. And yeah, so the great thing is this is knit fabric. So I've been sort of thinking about if I'm going to trim really close to the white circle, or if I was going to even leave just a tiny bit of the blue around, sort of a frayed look, although it won't fray because it's knit fabric. But I think that could be cute too. So, and then I simply take with a sewing machine, not an embroidery machine, will stitch around on there. So you can use a narrow zigzag stitch, or you can use a knit stitch, but I would just pin this directly onto the onesie and make sure it's exactly how I want, flat and straight, and then stitch around. And if you feel like the center is, popping up a little bit, you could just do some stitching right on some of the letters that are more in the center to catch a few of that. So,
Emily, having that little extra edge on the side where you have like kind of a fray look, that would be so trendy on a onesie. Yes. I mean, that's just like kind of a rough, like kind of like something you put on a hat. Actually, a great idea to put on a hat too.
Yes. So as I am looking at this, it's looking really big as I'm looking at this design. So this might be another reason why I'm glad I put this on the extra fabric, because I may get to the end and decide this is actually too big, which is where I'm leaning at this very moment. It's just all of a sudden looking really large for the tiny onesie. Okay, so we've done the top word, little, and now it's ready to embroider the bottom. but I'll decide, you know, I'll cut it out. We can look at the onesie and lay it on. And this is super easy. I mean, it takes 10 minutes and I don't have to do anything in those 10 minutes to just decide if I'm going to re-embroider it. And I even have enough fabric over here. I could just slide my hoop over and whip this out again if I decide this one is too big. So
I love this. And I agree with Lois. You know, one of the big things that even when I was doing some embroidery, and I think I have a few blog posts in the Brother blog as well, doing some fun embroidery on baby items, having something soft against their skin. And this solves that problem because you keep the onesie. That really solves it, because otherwise you have to put some interfacing on there or something because you don't want it scratching them.
Right. Yeah. All the mess of the back of embroidery would not really be something you do want on the back side of a onesie. So yeah, this is super easy way to do that and not have to then add any additional steps. So
absolutely. Naomi, you're going to definitely love this technique then if you're afraid of, or just difficult, not afraid.
Yeah, no, not afraid, and things aren't impossible, but yeah, embroidering directly on objects. Still, I've done a few like jean jackets for people, and I get freaked out every time.
Hey, Ann, yes, it depends what machine you're on, but the machine that Emily's on right now does have an array, and many of them do. It just has like an array, like array where you can curve the letters up and around, down, move them around. So yes, check your machine. What machine do you have, Ann? Just curious.
Yeah. And then I also I see the question about the stabilizer. So we talked about that a little bit at the beginning. But on a stretch fabric, I like to use a fusible or a sticky directly on the fabric. So this sort of flesh colored stabilizer is a fusible. So I did fuse that directly to the blue fabric to hopefully avoid any puckers. And then I did add a second layer of a light stabilizer. It's not attached, it's just in the hoop to give a little bit more stability as I'm embroidering on a thinner knit fabric. I'll cut that off and trim that off before I put it on.
And actually, I saw some people asking, is it cutaway or tearaway? And technically, because you're using it as a patch, you could use either.
Yes. I think this is tearaway. I just do it really easy. Sometimes I have my rolls and they're not all labeled, so I just have to test them out. But
I think, tearaway would be my first pick. But if you only have cutaway laying around, it would be fine for a patch. Now, for the garment, maybe not so much. But yeah. Lorraine, that's a great idea. Make it large, cut the circle larger and run it through the serger, make it a lettuce hem. Oh, that'd be cute.
That would be so cute. Yeah. So you can see there are really so many ideas for creating this separate and then adding it to the item that you want it on for the, final look.
Right. So Anne, I know your persona has the array button. The 4000D, try to think what the name of that machine is to think if 4000. I'll look it up. But check your machine because I know your persona has the array. 4000D. So Emily, by the way,
yes,
just in case, and everybody here watching, if we disappear, it's because my power goes out. It is raining ice now, and so hopefully we don't get any power. We're ready for a power outage. I'm all prepped, but not for a live show. So if we lose all of you, please know it's not personal. It's like a 222 thing, right?
Yeah. Just got to add a little more excitement to the day.
Of course. Everybody's asking, did any of the brother fans have twins today? That you're going to be the famous brother, the brother family.
Yes. So fun. It would be a great day to have twins. So you can see it's on the last letter. So our design is almost done, and then we'll go ahead and cut this out and see how we feel about the size on the onesie and go from there. So I'm excited to check out just the next sort of step. And then again, if I do sew it on, I'll show you. So the only thing is if we hate the size, I'm not going to sew it on. But if it has any potential at all, we'll just go ahead and put it on so you can see that next step. And we'll just, easily convert this machine back to a sewing machine to use it to sew the patch on to the onesie. So we'll let it go around and finish and then go from there.
Vicky says, how many buckets of water do I fill? Well, I've got a lot of snow outside, so it'd be melting snow is what it's going to be.
Yes. There's lots of snow.
Maybe you know this one, and I'm trying to think the name of it. Judy, I was totally thinking of that product when I said if you actually embroider on a onesie, maybe you do like a little monogram or something. It's just like a light fusible interfacing, similar to what she was talking about. But for those of you that were, and I can't think of the name, Judy, I know Brother has it as well, but just look for a light fusible, or if you're a garment sewer and you have light fusible interfacing, like a fuse in it, that will work perfectly on the back.
Yes.
Thanks for mentioning that, Judy.
So something super cute on there. Okay, so it's telling me now it's finished embroidering. And so we're gonna pull this off. Okay.
So, so cute, Emily.
Yes. So I'm very pleased with that. So I'm gonna switch cameras back and go up and then lay this on the cutting table so we can really see, cut it out, and then really see what we're doing with this. So let me just
sounds great.
Switch over. Okay.
I can see all of your comments coming, and they said if it's too big, put it on the tush.
Yeah, that would be so cute too, actually. So many ideas. You guys are full of inspiration. Okay, so now we'll take this out, and this one, the tearaway, we're just going to remove easily. So, and this is a stiffer, so we do want to make sure we get that off, and I'll even try to pick it out a little bit here from the center of the onesie so that, you know, that doesn't, you don't really want a stiff patch on the front of something for a baby either. So I won't worry about getting like every little piece out, but I do want to try to grab the big pieces. Let me see here if we can get this. And then this, I don't know if this fusible, I'm just going to leave it on because it's actually a really soft stabilizer. So I'm not worried about that being on there. And then we'll cut around that in the fabric and we'll lay it on.
I see some of you in the comments on YouTube and Facebook mentioning different brands of that interfacing. So yes, actually all of them are mentioned, I've heard of, and they all work well. They're not Brother products, so I can't mention them here, but if you want to scroll to the comments, you'll find them.
Yes. Okay, so I think my plan as I cut this is to leave, I don't know, like 1/8 of an inch of the blue on the outside, just for a little fun bit of color. So let me cut this out. And then we'll lay it on there. And if I don't like the blue on the outside, I can cut that off again. So the only thing you want to make sure of when you're cutting out your embroidery like a patch is that you don't clip any of the threads that you just sewed in your embroidery, because then the whole thing can come undone. So
right. So yes, Joanna, she used 2 stabilizers. She used a fusible, or you could use a sticky back for the first one, and then she used the tearaway down below.
And this fusible is really soft. So that's why I'm leaving it actually on the back here. Because it, again, will just help this stay really flat as I'm sewing it on and won't allow this knit to stretch. Because this is, you know, so right now it's not really stretchy, which is good for me because I don't want it to stretch out as I'm sewing it on. So there is my little brother patch.
So cute.
There's the back, and you can see I did leave the stiffer in there. So if you're really particular about that, you can pick that all out. But I figure after a few washings, it won't be so stiff anyway. It doesn't keep that after it's gotten wet. So there's the patch, and now we'll grab the onesie, okay, and lay it out. Oh, this is perfect. This is gonna be perfect.
It's not too big. It looks great.
So good. I wouldn't want it any bigger, but this is going to be just fine. So
I'm still laughing at Cindy's idea. If it's too big, put it on the tush.
Yeah, that actually could be pretty cute back there too. Okay, so I want to make sure that it's centered and level on there. And then I'm going to use a few pins here to open up the shirt and pin in place. So this is where if you did have another layer, I know a couple people had mentioned having like fusing it on to the fabric and then sewing it. So if you had a double-sided fusible, you could use that to attach it if you wanted. And then, but otherwise you can just go ahead and pin it on
so cute.
to the onesie, just like that. So now I'm gonna switch back over to the sewing machine. We'll take off the embroidery unit, put on the sewing foot again, and I'll just show you how quick and easy it is to attach this right onto the onesie.
Sounds great. While she's switching over, I can see all of your comments coming in, and be sure to keep them rolling as well, because we'll take a break at the end to answer. Some of them we've already answered, and if so, you can go back and watch from the beginning. So, you know, Emily, I'm going to leave you up here because I think somebody might like to see how easy it is to take off that embroidery section.
Yes, it is. And that, you know, that's one of the things that, again, I love about the combo machines is you really can switch back and forth super easily and in like 2 seconds. So I'm going to turn the machine off because it gets angry when you try to do this when it's on, and pull the embroidery unit off. Okay. And now I'm just left with the stubby little machine.
And that's it.
Looks so tiny when you take that off.
I know.
And then slide the tray back on. And I had sort of moved my machine a little bit to make sure the embroidery unit had room to go and not hit anything. So we can turn it back on. And then the embroidery foot is still on here. So I want to find my screwdriver, which I just used yesterday when I was taking this apart.
And all of you watching, I just have to know if you ever wondered how easy it is to go back and forth from machines. Did you see that? And she could have even left that little tray off and just started sewing. You know, if you're doing like something in the small, squeeze around there.
Yes, you wouldn't have to. Okay, so that's the needle.
And says, "Oh, I see the snow."
Yes.
Oh yeah, Vicky, she could totally use the Freon for such a small garment. It's whatever your preference is. It depends which way you flip your fabric. But yes. Sure. And you can sew without that tray on.
Yes. Yeah. This is just for extra space. So I'm taking off the embroidery foot, and then I'm putting the regular foot back on, I think.
Carolyn, she's on the Brother VM 5200. The VM 5200.
Okay. And tighten it down.
Yes, you can actually sew with the embroidery unit on as well. That would have been a possibility. That might have been too bulky for this little garment, but yes, you totally can.
You can. I'm trying to think with the embroidery unit, can you use the foot? Does it, if you just don't have a hoop in, you can use it with the sewing machine.
Yes, you actually just change the foot to sewing and you can sew right there. Yep.
I don't know if I've ever actually done that. So I will have to experiment with that. So the other thing that I am going to experiment with this.
Oh, do you still have that cute screwdriver? Cindy's like, show it. Everybody's going to want to see this.
It came with one of my machines.
There you go.
So yeah, there
Cindy,
it is.
I don't think that's the one you're thinking of. I think you're thinking of the one that adapts that was at the Luminaire. But if not, that one goes with the
machine. What I want to do with this machine later this week is figure out, and I think I should be able to, with just if I get the circle right, but a friend asked me to sew on like 40 merit badges for their Boy Scout who's going to be an Eagle Scout. And so my plan is to just set the circle the right size as the merit badge and then try to use embroidery to actually stitch the merit badges in place. So if anyone's ever done that, I'm hoping that will just simplify rather than having to go around, you know, in a circle, which is kind of finicky as you're going around. I think I can just set it to embroider each one on. So I'm going to try to figure that out. Okay, so now we're keeping the onesie out of the way. I have it set to a narrow, long zigzag. If you want to know exactly, I have the width set at 2 millimeters and the length set at 1.4, but I may adjust depending on if I like this or don't like what it looks like. So I'm just going to give it a little test, and I am sewing directly on to the white outside circle. Okay, so the stitches are going to blend in, and the goal is that you don't see these stitches that I'm putting right now. Okay.
Yep, looks great.
Where'd my pin cushion go? Okay, so yeah, we're just going around and we're going to try.
I love that you're showing the technique of folding all the fabric up, because I think a lot of people think, how am I going to get in there? So if everything's folded up, you can easily maneuver that around your machine. And that's where it would be a little more like difficult and bulky if you left the embroidery hoop on, but it would have worked too. So I see somebody asking, if can't you just leave it on? Yes, but it's whatever is the easiest to sew, right?
Yep, whatever you're comfortable with. And the bulk of the fabric I have up by the neckline. You know, I've taken that whole sort of back and scrunched it up to the back neck of the onesie.
Oh, Cindy wants to know, great question, Cindy. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Yeah.
What are you using invisible thread, or using the same color thread, the blue or the white?
So I'm actually using the exact same white embroidery thread. I didn't touch the thread at all. So it's going to be as close as I can match to what is on there.
Perfect.
Okay, so there.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute.
It is on there. And I don't really think I need to add any tacking down in the middle. I feel like it is, so it needs a little, you know, press it, trim off those threads, but otherwise.
Oh, that's cute.
That's pretty good on there. So, and it's sewn all the way around. There's a little bit of a lip, but, you know, just barely. You don't want a big edge you could catch, but, you know, you just got a little seam allowance on there. And there you go.
So I'm just one quick thing, because someone said, why wouldn't you just use a free arm? Well, if she was just sewing straight, it'd be fine, but you're going in a full circle and you have your free arm. So you're going to go you're only going to be able to do a half a circle. You're still going to have to do the same thing. So just eventually, in case you're wondering.
Yeah, eventually I'm going to get stuck and not be able to rotate it all the way around. So yeah, I'd rather just move the fabric out of the way and try to get in there and sew it.
Oh my gosh, Emily, this is so adorable. You have the best projects. You have a few people in here just saying you always teach things so wonderful. I agree.
Thank you. Yeah. So, and again, you could do this with you could create patches for, you know, big sister or big brother to go and make a set if you were wanting to do that, and you know, create a whole set for these. Or like I did on that original project, I had embroidered directly on the big brother, big sister, and then did the patch for the onesie just because it's smaller and harder to embroider directly on, at least in my opinion.
Oh, so fun. Hey, Darlene, I don't know. I'll have Emily come back up to us, but I would not personally glue it on. I mean, only because you're going to be washing it through so many different washes. Now, if you had a fusible interfacing or fusible, you could fuse it on, but that still is not as soft as what Emily did. So I'm just thinking like outside the box for babies. But
yeah, I would definitely still sew it. I wouldn't rely entirely on any sort of glue or fusing. But yeah, so whatever, again, many of you have experimented with techniques much more than I have. So if you have something that works for you, do it. You don't have to switch just because I did it this way. So
definitely. Anne says it's 22 cute. Yeah. Best comment of the day, Anne.
Yes. But super easy and fairly foolproof embroidery if you do it this way. That's what I'm going for.
I love it. And I just think it's going to be for so many people that are saying, and we're talking about onesies here, but think outside the box.
Yeah.
You just mentioned wanting to embroider on a jean jacket, and if you screw that up, now that doesn't mean that you shouldn't just try it, but I just know, even myself, when I've done things, I would rather have a patch to start if it's something new. And I love that. It's so easy, so cute. And if you embroider it too big, put it on the tush.
That's right. Or just redo it, because literally this was a 10-minute on a piece of scrap fabric. I'm not out really much at all if I decide to scrap this whole thing and start over, so the stakes are really low.
You got to read this one. This is a good, it's like it's a patch slash
spit up something big. Yeah. You can just get a little drool on there and wipe it up. You could make this out of vinyl and then it would like slide right on there.
Hey, Vicki wants to know, have you done any of these patches out of other fabrics?
So I did make a jean jacket with a bunch of patches for the Encanto movie on the Brother Sews blog. So if you haven't seen that one, I made a whole bunch of patches and sewed them on a jean jacket for my daughter. So that was really fun with the Encanto embroidery machine or the embroidery designs that Brother has. So yeah, I've done a lot of different shapes, not just the circle and then, the sort of cut out embroider and then cut out patch idea. So you can really do it with, anything.
Very good idea. Very good idea. Glenda says, thank you, Angela and Emily. Glenda, thank you. You're in Mazatlan. I'm really jealous about that right now.
And then I just wanted to mention again, if you don't have an embroidery machine and you want to do this with your scan and cut, you can grab these free files to download and make little brother or little sister, big brother or big sister shirts with vinyl and your scan and cut, which I did with these. So
oh my gosh, that is
in the 3 different colors and then just ironed them on to a onesie and a t-shirt. And so if you don't have an embroidery machine and you're thinking, I'd still like to do this project, here's an option. And again, these are free to download on my site. So you can just hop over there and grab them and have fun.
I think I love that. And I put your website down below, lifesosavory.com. I put Brother Sews down there as well, because if you're looking for some great blog posts, some inspiration. And Emily, you might have to come back like in May. Well, you're coming back every month, but I'm just thinking, I'm thinking ahead for your projects because summer is such a great time to put fun stuff on shirts. Could you come back and show us how you did that on the scan and cut for us?
Yes, that would be super fun.
It doesn't even have to be on a onesie. It could be just on a t-shirt. I love that.
Totally. Well, and I've also been thinking about, how, and many of you saw me last summer, I've sewn outfits for all the cousins in my family, which once this baby comes, there'll be 13. And I've been thinking for months, and after I sewed all those outfits last summer, about this summer not sewing for all 13 of them, because it like consumes my life for too long and all I get out of it is a picture. So, but what I was thinking about is making some sort of like fun cousin design and then ironing those on probably t-shirts that I buy and not even making the shirt. So maybe in May or I think April, we've already decided, but in May, maybe we could make, do the scan and cut and show just how easy it is to make custom shirts with any design that you want in the scan and cut. So we'll think about that.
Absolutely. And Edna, yes, you could totally put this on a hat. You could put this anywhere you want. I love the idea of putting on shirts. And someone else just said, if you had extra patches, you could sell them. If you have an Etsy shop or something like that, if it's something that you've created, you're not using Disney designs, you can totally sell your work. It's a great way to make some extra money too.
Yes. So fun.
Everyone's in. Yes, please. So let's just give them a little quick rundown. Next month in March, by the way, and I don't think we've even talked about this yet, but Brother Sews and Brother Crafting is going to be doing something really fun, and it's going to be called a challenge, Quilt to Fashion.
Okay.
Next month is National Crafting Month. It's National Quilt Month. And so we're going to be taking one quilt design that Cindy Hogan has designed for us. She's put it in a bunch of different sizes. It's going to be available to all of you to use, to download for free. Not yet, though, not till March. And each person that's in this challenge, including myself, we each get the patch, and we're going to use it for something else. And so Emily and I were just talking about what we're going to be using for. So you're going to have to stay tuned. And I can give you a hint. We're going to be sewing together this quilt block, but most of the projects are not going to be anything quilting at all. It's a quilt block.
I'm not a quilter.
Oh my gosh. And I just have to give you guys a little tip. Jerry Granada just sent me a photo, and I can just give you a glimpse of it. Just imagine a tennis racket. That's all I can say. I know. It's going to be awesome. So that's coming in March.
Yeah, I'm excited for my project and using the quilt block. And yeah, it'll be another great show and a fun project that you can make when you're finished.
Absolutely. Everybody's saying thank you, thank you, thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. And thank you all for watching. Emily, that's so adorable. I think everybody's saying, yay. Oh, darling, it's going to be your birthday month. Oh, your birthday month too, Shirley. Okay, fantastic.
So fun.
All right. Well, Emily, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Stay warm.
Thank you.
And you, so just so you all know, it's the beginning of the week, I think, last I checked. And so your rundown for the week this afternoon, Cindy Hogan has her show on her page where you can see Software Shut-In. Tomorrow I have a show at 1:30 on my page Eastern, and you have one at 3 on your page Eastern.
Yes.
Can't miss that. What are you doing tomorrow? Any idea?
No idea.
Yeah, we never know until the day. Like, what is in my sewing room that I'm in the middle of?
I know. Maybe more embroidery. Maybe, I don't know. I gotta think about it.
Something fabulous. And then on Thursday we have another live show. So with Brother at noon, with the Brother Educator, and another fantastic thing for you, including embroidery. So have a wonderful day, Emily. Brother Sewing fans, tell everyone how much you love this. Be sure to share it to your page if you want to watch it over, and tell Brother thank you for letting your ambassadors and educators take over your page.
Bye.
Bye.